It's a minute after 6. A very good morning. Welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show. This is the Tuesday edition. It comes at a very important intersection within the development landscape of Eswatini. We know that the OACPS Joint Assembly happens exactly today. It started a couple of days ago, but the Joint Assembly now with the European Union happens today. And indeed, His Majesty King Mswati graced the dinner last night, and today we are set to see the signing ceremonies of this very important event that will see, organizations of the African, Pacific, Caribbean states developing better in Africa, of course, with the help of the European Union. It's just exciting indeed to see how that unfolds as the day continues. Outside of that, indeed, we are greeting you and we're welcoming you into today's program. We hope that you are going to love it. Good morning, Lulu.
Good morning, Guni. How are you?
Doing all right.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us on Klexeni. And good morning to you, to our viewers as well. Thank you for joining us, Lomusha. This is the Tuesday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. As always, Sinitsela Leti Hamba Mbili Lomklexeni will be joined by the Indian High Commissioner to Eswatini, Ram Prasad, Daba Kulmage, Ngemhlangano Lomkhulu, Ludaba Ubanjwe Kona, India on the 1st of June 2026. It is the International Big Cat Summit. What this means for Eswatini. How will Eswatini benefit from this summit at 6:30 this morning?
And we are expected to connect with our journalist Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, who is in Uganda, who is there with the deputy, covering really, ground where the deputy prime minister is representing His Majesty King Mswati III at the inauguration of the president of Uganda, who is set to make history once again, taking that presidential seat, Yoweri Museveni. We are expecting Nelly to really just, connect with us via our Zoom video link at 7:30 this morning, coming straight from Uganda to really update us on what is happening there, the sense of the mood and what we should expect as the events unfold that side. So stay with us. So good morning again. We'll look at our newspaper headlines this morning.
All right, leading stories on the Eswatini Observer this Tuesday. Prince Lindani tells OACPS Eswatini is small but is stable. Says the kingdom is firmly stable under His Majesty King Mswati III's leadership. Adds that the stability has positioned the country as an important platform for African unity. In other stories, Eswatini, South Africa and Mozambique unite against FMD and other diseases. And in other stories, more transport operators revert to maximum fees.
I'll move along and we look at the back end of the Eswatini Observer Tuesday publication, and top of the top is the story around the league title, and that is one win away from crown. League title is next. That is Derek Shiba, the Nsingizini president, who insists the title race is all but decided. His focus now shifts to sealing glory against Rangers. In other stories, lift it higher. King tells the captain at the center of the trophy presentation during the Ngwenyama Cup final at Somhlolo National Stadium. Another story, Ngwenyama Cup final rakes in over 650,000 in Malangeni. They generated one of the highest gate takings recorded in local football. with the revenue reportedly exceeding 650,000 Malay.
And moving on to the Eswatini Daily News, leading stories, OSCP's EU First Africa EU Parliamentary Assembly welcome dinner. King calls for global peace and unity. In other stories, OSCP's SG lauds King's visionary diplomatic leadership. And on another one, a 10 million Malangeni global startup hunt opens for Eswatini innovators, and Eswatini issues 4-point mandate for African unity.
And coming in at the top of your daily news sports news, Bayete new stadium best gift. That is according to the Eswatini Football Association and the Premier League of Eswatini bosses. President Samora, Chairman Polycarp, they say King just turned this year into a historic one with the 40-58 double celebrations. In other stories, Minister for Sports Bongani Nzima hails IDM Sports Partnership after that signing of that MOU to advance sports in terms of education. The last story, Pep Guardiola backs Mamouche to play big role.
Right, and that's it for our newspaper headlines. It's 6 minutes after 6. We go for an ad break and come back with our first bulletin. Stay with us.
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all the morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare that a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Ingonyama seyimemetele kwakhiwa kwenkundla yezemidlalo stadium sakanokusho lesinsha lesitawu mumatha abantu labathi inkulungwane letingemashumi lamane 40,000. Ingonyama beyiphefumula enkundleni yesive kaSomhlolo ngelisonto emidlalweni wemancamo emchuthelwano weNgonyama Cup lakhona iklomelise licembu leNsingizini Hotspurs njengabo boshambeni labasha kulomchuthelwano. Lelicembu ke lihambe nesizumbulu sa 1.4 million emalangeni.
Beyigcwele icitheka inkundla yezemidlalo kaSomhlolo ngesikhathi sive siphuma ngebuningi baso kutawubukela lo mdlalo wemancamo emchuthelwaneni weNgonyama Cup lapho bekudlala khona amaqembu ebhola iGreen Mamba neNsingizini Hotspurs. Lo mdlalo bewusingathwe indlovukazi Mhlekazi Sigodlo bantu abenkosi namabhalane lomkhulu enhlanganweni yemave yase-Afrika netihlengeta se-Caribbean nase-Pacific Musa Batraki kubala labambalwa. Inzebe iphakanyiswe licembu leNsingizini Hotspurs elihambe nesizumbulu sa 1.4 million emalangeni. Njengoba lakangwane elisemkhankasweni wokuthuthukisa takhiwo talo kufaka ekhathi netakhiwo tetemidlalo, Ingonyama imemetele ukuthi kutawukwakhiwa inkundla yetemidlalo yakanokusho lenshansha letawumumatha abantu labathi inkulungwane letingamashumi lamane 40,000.
Bayethe unaphakathi isilo sikhulu kule minyaka lengamashumi lamane lendlulile. Sibonile ligalelo lakho naphakathi ukuthuthukisa temidlalo. Sekungaba buta ndlamandoda ukuthi ingabe yini lengendiwa ukuthi kufezekele iphupho leNgonyama lokuthi sigcine sikhicita tihlabani kakhulu emidlalweni webhola letawatiwa umhlaba wonke jikelele kube nelikhethelo lakho silo lingagcine selidlala ku World Cup. Bayethe phakathi.
Kungaba into lenhle ukuthi sisachubeka emva kwa 40 years bakangwane babona ukuthi angibe sesigabeni sebukhosi ukuthi kube nemlandvo ilegacy letawusala leyawubonakala ukuthi usale lapha njoba ngikhuluma nge-stadium nje, stadium lesifanele sakhiwe lesisha, hayi ukuthi kusitawukhulisa lesi, sitawakha lesisha stadium. Lesicala afresh, designers asavela saqalile ayasi designer kakhulu. Lenkolo ako ngekuthi le stadium sitaba fully equipped ukuthi sawukhona train eMaswati akwadi ukuthi noma ngasingenela imidlalo yabo AFCON World Cup bonalise ukuthi siya qualify singeMaswati. Le midlalo lena yokuwaqeqesha eMaswati ukuthi sisive sisakhula sigcina sikhulile kakhulu kutemasiko kutemidlalo nasithi siya AFCON kubalwe ukuthi eMaswati akhona, nakuthiwa siya ku World Cup sibalwe ukuthi sikhona, nasithi noma ngangiphi imidlalo lesiyakiyo singasali ngemuva ngoba sidabe sesiqeqeshewe kakhulu ebekunene.
Inzaki beyibekelwe emadolo nangakudemasiko kungqubutene imiphakathi leyaphuma embili etifundzeni yachubekela esigabeni semancamo. Imbongi ledle umhlanganiso lonyaka kube ngithulani mkhatshwa kwakwazana ke nesibhaca sasemaphalaleni. Luthango loluphume embili kube luthango lwaselvinjelweni. Kulacwebetelako emajala adle umhlanganiso kube ngemajaha asemkhuzweni kanti-ke ummiso kuchaze imbali yasedlangeni. Ingwenyama imemetele ukukhuliswa kwemali letholwa imbali sibhaca netimbongi. Lapha uphuma embili embalini nasemabhaceni batawusuka ku-65,000 emalangeni batfole 110,000 emalangeni. Timbongi lebethola 25,000 emalangeni sethi tawuthola 50,000 emalangeni. Kube netikhathi lapho khona sive sikhombise kuba munye noma nje besisekela emaqembu lahlukene. Lokhu kube sifakazelo sekufezeka kweliphupho lengwenyama lekuqinisa bunye besive ngetemidlalo nemasiko. Lobika kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya anazwele masuku enkundleni yesive kaSomhlolo.
Emave ase-Afrika langephansi kwenhlangano i-Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States sekakhutsatwe ukuthi abe munye nakakhuluma tindzabatawo naletinye tinhlangano temave. Lokhu kuvetwe lizinyane uMvane Nkosi Lindani emhlanganweni lochubekako walenhlangano lobanjelwe ezulwini.
Solo iqhubeke njalo imihlangano lapha e-International Convention Center ezulwini yenhlangano lekuthiwa i-Organization of Africa, Caribbean, Pacific States. Kanti-ke kuqale kwahlangana ngetigungu lekumave akaSADC emavela asekhathi ne-Afrika. Kanti-ke langena lo mhla i-Afrika ibuye yodwa yangena-ke egumeni yateka-ke tindzabatayo. Lomeleleke live laseSwatini kuyo i-OACPS lizinyane uMthane Nkosi Lindane ukubeke ngembaba kuthi sesifikile isikhathi ukuthi emave ase-Afrika abe munye abambane ateke tindzabatawo ngalivilinye. Lokhu-ke uthi atawuthi nakahamba yakhuluma nenhlangano yebunye bemave alabamhlophe e-European Union emathuba ukuthi i-Afrika ivakale kuloko lekushoko asetulu kakhulu.
When Africa speaks as one, the OACPS listens. When Africa walks as one, Samoa moves. As host of the OACPS, EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, Eswatini's duty is quite simple. Give Africa the space to unite before we negotiate with anyone else. Africa's 4 non-negotiables for this Joint Parliamentary Assembly cycles are, because of time, I won't get into it. 1, parliamentary power must be real. 2, global gateway must serve Africa's plan and not bypass it. 3, youth dividend. 4, climate justice, not climate charity. The role of this African region, the Pacific and the Caribbean, are watching us. If Africa arrives in Brussels divided, we'll all lose. But if Africa arrives with one text, then all of us win. Let Africa's footsteps in this Samoa cycle be united, funded, and felt by our citizens.
Mapalane walenhlangano Musa Salah Patrak uchazile ukuthi lokhu ebheke usibakusebente ngiloko baholi lebavumelana ngako emhlanganweni lobanjelwe edolobheni eMalabo enyangeni yendlovu lenkulu. Lenzaba lena indzaba letsinza timali njengoba lenhlangano soloku evakala ukuthi isantengantenga ngendzaba yetimali.
The message of our heads of state and government was clear. The OECPS must transform itself. It must revitalize itself. It must regain its full political credibility. It must strengthen its financial autonomy. It must become a more visible, more influential, and more useful organization for its member states and their peoples. In Malabo, our leaders recognize that our organization remains a unique platform, a platform that brings together Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific, a platform which speaks in one voice in a changing world.
Ubanja nje lo mhlangano lapha eSwatini ngonyama emhlaba yendala tibukwako emhlanganweni webaholi labangephansi kwalenhlangano ngenyanga endlovu lenkulu edolobheni leMalabo lapho uyagcugcutela khona emave ukuthi ahlanganise imali lefikako ku-12.5 million euros. Kanti-ke ngemalangeni ilinganiselwa ku-255 million emalangeni. Kubheke ukuthi ngeminyaka wa-2029 umhlangano webaholi labangephansi kwenhlangano ye-OHCPS ubanjelwe lapha eSwatini. Kubika Lington Gule ngise-ICC kanti-ke tithombe titholakele ePhalamende yelive laseSwatini.
Liphini Mvunankulu umhlonishwa Kusile Dladla lisuke kuleli esukwini la Idolo ekusenda libhekisa eUganda lakhona liyawumelela khona engonyama eNkosi Mswati wesithathu wemcimbini wekufungiswa kwamengameli weUganda Yoweri Museveni. Liphini Mvunankulu lisukele esikhumulweni setindiza eKing Mswati III International Airport.
Sithunywa ngoyemakhosi lapho masikhumbula kahle President Museveni wale endas eUganda uwine ukhetho ubese sihlalweni ngepresidential seat iminyaka lengemashumi lamane 40 years so nyalo ke abantu baseUganda baphinze bakhanza ukuthi awu umuntu omdala kaphinza abuyele atochuba lona leve laseUganda. Ithi ngonyama sihambe soyimelela kulomsebenzi lomkhulu kangaka umsebenzi ukusasa uyainaugurate eNtebe ebese siyabuya ke ekhaya ke sisuka khona ngalesithathu sitheleke ekhaya ngalesine bayethiwe maphakathi.
Ivuna litiko letempilo umhlonishwa Mduduzi Mathebula seyimemetele ukuthi litiko letempilo ngekubambisana nalelisebenzisana nabo batawukwelapha ke bogogo nabomkhulu mahala mhla ka-18 July kulomnyaka losedulu. Ivuna ithi litiko likwenda lokhu ngekunamathela emgomeni wekuthi bantu labadzala banakekeleke nangetimpilo ke ngekuhambisana nenhlangano iphilani Maswati.
Njalo ngempelasonto lenivulela umcimbi we-Biggest Braai bogogo nabomkhulu belashwa mahala ha. Indvuna yelitiko letempilo umhlonishwa Mduduzi Mathebula seyimemetele ukuthi nalonyaka bogogo batawunakekeleka.
Ngumsebenzi lesanikwa wona indlovu yemhlaba ukuthi baka health bawushada nebakaphilana. Babahlole lapho bogogo nabomkhulu ukuthi baphilile labangaphili babalaphe. Na le makhaya labahlala khona lapho gogo vele litiko sela uvele langena ukuthi libahlole njalo bogogo sibaphilile kanjalo nalo msebenzi waka we-Biggest Braai nge-weekend le before the Biggest Braai siye vele siphume luwonke silitiko nema-parastatals nema-partners kuyawulapha bogogo siphindze sibahlole batolapheka ngesikhathi nalonyaka mhla ka-18 July sitawukwenda njalo. Siphume silitiko siphume sonke sikamanzini siphume sonke nema partners sihlole tonke tipho siphindze sitilaphe.
Ngakulokunye indvuna yelitiko letemphilo iphindze yasukumisa ngalokusemtsetfweni luhlelo lwetebuciko lwekutsenga likhadi lebulunga kanye-ke nekutsenga emathikithi ngekusebentisa iwebsite yakaphilani Maswati. Sihlalo walenhlangano Lutfo Dlamini utsi lena yingcenye yekwakha imali letawusita bogogo nabomkhulu.
Ezofaka imali lapha basitshele lamajaji ukuthi sitayisherisha le commission nalabo labasifakela le mali bo-MTN nabo imali, and that goes towards building up i-fund yakaphilani. We are very excited that we are part of the history making. Luvukazi wasithuma ukuthi asisitaleni into letawuletha enough money to run lama projects singaphe kubabozini ikhamisa, because le center yethu le dance it's costing us around 25 to 30,000 a month just to keep it going. So we do need a very steady source of income.
Indvuna yetemphilo umhlonishwa Mduduzi Mathebula yesekele umsebenzi we-Biggest Braai ngemali lenganga 10,000 emalangeni, yaphindze-ke yethembisa kutsenga emathikithi alomcimbi langu-10 umphakathi umunye ngephansi kwenkhundla yasesiphocosini. Lo mcimbi we-Biggest Braai utawubanjwa kwelishumi solo wasungulwa, losolo-ke ucokelela imali yekusita bogogo nabomkhulu. Kubika Sondomlangeni nacalisile Mavimbela eMbabane.
Liphinile ndvunankhulu umhlonishwa Kusile dladla libeseke liyafika eveni le-Uganda lakhona liyawumelela ingonyama silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu emcimbini wekufungiswa nekubekwa ngalokusemthethweni kwaloyo lohambe embili lukhethweni lamengameli wakulela live lekunguYoweri Museveni welicembu i-National Resistance Movement. Liphinde ndvunankhulu litseleke ngetitfuba tensimbi yelishumi ngemsombuluko.
Liphini landvunankhulu lemukelwe ngibasada Johnny Mohindo kanye nendvuna yelitiko leti-70 tembuso kulela live umhlonishwa Mugasa Grace Mary. Liphini landvunankhulu kubhekeke ukuthi limele ingwenyama silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu kulomsebenzi lotawubanjwa elangeni lalamuhla lapho kubhekeke khona ukuthi kube nebaholi bemave labangetulu kwa-35. Mengameli Yoweri Museveni sewuholele lalive emahlandla lasikhombisa njengoba thatha ubuholi ngenyanga yaBhimbidvwane ngeminyaka wanga-1986. Sewuneminyaka lengu-81 budzala kanti sewuholele lalive iminyaka lengu-40. Mengameli Yoweri Museveni uhambe embili ngemavoti lenda lokungu-71.65% ekhulwini kanti lebekade achudzelene naye lowatiwa kakhulu ngelaBobi Wine welicembu i-National Unity Reconciliation and Development Party yena watfola imavoti lenda lokungu-24.72% ekhulwini. Lo mcimbi utawubanjwa ngaphansi kwesicubule lesibuke kakhulu kuvikela loko lela live leselikhonile kukwakha nekukuzuza kule minyaka lengu-40 kanye nekuthatha tinyathelo leticinile naletibandi tentfutfuko lekhonsako. Liphini landvunankhulu lisingathwe indvuna yelitiko leti-70 tembuso Mabulala Maseko. Lobikako nguNelson Dlangamandla e-Uganda.
Likolishi lase-Good Shepherd lithi emalungiselelo sekasephocelelweni sekasecophelelweni lisedulu njengoba-ke ngalesibili kuleli veki kubhekeke ukuthi kuphothule bafundzi lebekade balinganiselwa ku-145. Umphathi waleli kolishi Precious Dlamini ukhulume lokhu-ke ngesikhathi indvuna yelitiko letemfundvo kanye nebelikomiti lase-Good Shepherd bayekuyawubuka wona emalungiselelo.
Umphathi welikolishi lase-Good Shepherd Precious Dlamini uthi konke sekume ngemumo kumelela usuku lwangalesibili lokuphothula kubafundzi balelikolishi.
Silikolishi vele tintfo zidime ngempumo, sijabulile kakhulu ukuthi sitawuphothulisa abafundzi bethu 145 emalungiselelo sekasezingeni elisetulu kakhulu njengalokubona nje ukuthi sesibala ema-hour cishe konke nje sekuhlangene la ngaphandle nawo ungathatha kubuka kuyaphithitela sonke nje sihlanganise tandla silibombo ngoba silungiselela lo msebenzi wakusasa.
Induna yelitiko letemfundvo umhlonishwa Owen Nxumalo uthi naye bekade atawubuka wona emalungiselelo okucinisekisa bumgcokwa betemfundvo kubo labaphothulako ngalesibili.
Okukuta kwengwenyama kusho kona kusitemfundvo tisehlitweni yengwenyama. Utasitayibona ingwenyama kulokwengcile ngaphambilini ivula isikolo saseChendlovu. Nakhona lapho sabona ukuthi nasi isikolo sakhiwa ingwenyama kwasikhombisa vele okandaba ukuthi letemfundvo tisehlitweni yakhe. Utawukhumbula ukuthi emfundo kube ne-curriculum shift lapho khona owakandaba kwaba nguye loshoko lokuthi letemfundo asetithuthuke tiye phambili. Kuta kwakhe ke lapha wekunene usho kona ukuthi umliba loya phambili ufuna ukuthi bantfana bemaswati bafunze baqeqesheke.
Kubika Thembelihle Magutshwa Good Shepherd.
Bantu labasha labanemakhono lakhaliphile langakhona-ke kuletha isombululo kuleli nasemhlabeni basethubeni lekutfola imali lenganga-1 million United States dollars emqhudelwaneni lomkhulu emhlabeni Startup World Cup.
Umbiko welibhange lakamhlaba uveta ukuthi 49% webamfula abasha kuleli beswele umsebenzi kanti-ke 25,000 webamfula abasha baceceshekile emanyuvesi nasemakolishi njengoba bakhishwa njalo ngeminyaka lokwenta ukuthi 1,000 wabo bayakhona kucashwa bese kuthi lalabanye bayasala. Ngenhloso-ke yekuvala lo mkhathi litiko letebuciko ngekubambisana nendzawo yetekcubungula i-Royal Science and Technology Park kanye nenkampani lenkulu yasemelika i-Pegasus seyinikete bamfula abasha litfuba lekuthi babe yingcenye yemncintiswano we-Startup World Cup. Indvuna yelitiko letebuciko umhlonishwa Savannah Mazia ithi le misebenti nemasu ebantfu labasha ingasita kwakha ematfuba emsebenzi.
The competition here is for innovation and for innovators who are in the social media space but also in the solution space. Uthi baqhamuke ne-solution letakwati ukuthi bangene kule competition. They going to register bangene kule website yase RSTP info@rstp.co.sz. Lapho uapply khona ufake le solution yakho bese ke uyawina i-competition. Lapho kunamave onke afaka ema-competition, so it's very competitive. Akusithina kuphela. But the good thing is mawuwina le competition uthola $1 million.
Lo sabambe kuba ngumphathi wendzawo yetekcubungula Madoda Mtsiniso uthi lelitfuba litawuniketa abamfula abasha kuthi-ke emabhizinisi abo akhone kwatiwa nasemhlabeni.
Bataba nelitfuba kokucala nje exposure ngoba umuntu omusha uyadzinga ukuthi ingqondo yakhe ivuleke yati ukuthi kwenzakalani emhlabeni kule mikhakha nemikhakha ngokwehlukana kwayo. Batawuphinda futhi bathole amathuba ukuthi bayopitcha laba pitcha khona batawuthola bosomabhizinisi labenabile. Lotawukhanza ukuthi bekangeka khona ukuthola lelithuba nangabe balapha lapho bosomabhizinisi bathanda lokuthi bese ba-investor kuleyo prototype noma leyo idea le startup.
Umcondzisi welihlangothi lwaka-research etiko Dr. Rejoice Maseko sewuncome umsebenzi lomuhle lowentiwa indzawo yetekcubungula ngekubambisana netinkampani letihamba imbili emhlabeni.
By bringing the Startup World Cup to our shows, RSTP is opening a gateway for local startups to compete for this grand prize on the world's most prestigious stage in the Silicon Valley.
Uthi kuba live lelenta tinqumo ngekusebentisa lwati kungalitfutfukisa la kangwane njengobe lamanye emave endile lafaka ekhatsi Singapore, India kanye neRwanda. Bantfu labasha labafuna kuba yingcenye yalomncintiswano bangavakashela iwebsite yasoNgcondvo kutfola imininingwane leyengetekile. Lolu hlelo lolu lihambisana nemgomo welitiko letebuciko kuthi noma leSwatini lelincane nalicathaniswa nalamanye emave kepha tigitalo tivakale kuleti tebuciko. Kubika Sondomlangeni nginaqalisile Mavimbela sisenokwane.
Likolishi Institute of Development Management IDM selisayineke isivumelwano sokusebenzisana nenhlangano leyengamele inhlangano tetemidlalo kuleli. Ngaphansi kwalezivumelwano lelikolishi litawuqeqesha emaswati laneshisekelo yekufundza ngekuphatsa temidlalo pheceleti sports management. Lezivumelwano sisayinwe emahhovisini yelitiko letemidlalo eMbabane.
Lesivumelwano sikusebenzisana emkhatsini kwelikolishi le-Institute of Development Management i-IDM kanye nenhlangano lengamele inhlangano tetemidlalo kuleli i-National Sports Council litobona lelikolishi liba netifundvo ngekuphathwa kwetemidlalo i-sports management lapho khona betinhlangano baceceshi kanye nabadlali batawuthola litfuba lekufundza kulo lelikolishi. indvuna yetemidlalo kuleli mhlonishwa bonganzima uthi lokusayina kwaso lesivumelwano kutawenta ukuthi kusebenta kanye nekuphathwa kwetemidlalo kube sezingeni elisetulu kuleli.
Silitiko-ke siyakusekela kakhulu vele lokusayinwa kwale MOU. Le MOU-ke isho kucala kwekuthi sisale center ema-sports ethu even aba-professional. Sinesifiso vele lesikhulu sokuthi ema-sports ethu noma-ke ema-athletes ethu even akwadi kumele lalive abe afundisekile, aceceshekile kahle, athola yonke imfanelo lafanele kuyithola lebe ingatholakala eveni. Sitawuqala-ke ngediploma i-certificate yethu lesitawuba nayo njenyalo lesitayisayinela le MOU. Sifiseke ukuthi bonke labahola ema-associations labaphethe emacembe temidlalo kwekuthi bangenele lama-courses lawo are very important. Sitowulungisa lokho njengale MOU tu. Sicela-ke ukuthi kungabi document letawuhamba iyohlala bese igcwala tintuli. Akugijime emalangeni vele kuthiwe nkwe kuyawusentshetwa livele ngwenyama liphakame.
Umcondzisi we-ADM lapha Ivan Karabo Bayipiti uthi balikolishi sizathu lesikhulu ukuthi basayine lezivumelwano nekusebenzisana ne-Sports Council ukuthi nabo bafisile kudlala inzima ekuthuthukiseni temidlalo.
We recognize sports as an area of economic activity that the very fact that there are no higher education qualifications disadvantages emaswati that are active in the sports arena.
Bayipiti uthi njengoba kude emakolishi noma-ke emanyuvesi lanaka kakhulu tindzaba tekufundiswa kwetemidlalo, bona-ke bafisile kusita emaswati kakhulu kati kwenta temidlalo tiphathwe kangcono lapha evenini. Umphathi wenhlangano lengamele imidlalo ema-Olympics kanye nama-Commonwealth kuleli Maxwell Jele uvetile ukuthi nabo bayathokota nasekunebe temfundvo lephakeme labatoba netifundo lekufundisa temidlalo nge-sports management njengoba nabo bayinhlangano sebavele bacalile kufundisa bona betinhlangano. Lokucala ukufundiswa ngako ukuphasa kwetemidlalo kutawucala nge-certificate in sports administration, i-diploma in sports management lokutoba sigaba sekucala saso lesivumelwano ku-2026-2027. Lobikako ulinda Dlamini Mbabane.
Tingakwenza batethu tesiswati sitawahlola timakethe sitawubuya ne-interview.
Egameni lahulumende wembube kanye nesive sonke semaswati ngithanda kuhalisela ingonyama Mswati wesithathu ngeminyaka lengama-40 isesihlalweni sebukhosi. Kule minyaka lengama-40 ingonyama ihole isive semaswati ngelithando nangenhlakanipho. Buholi bayo ingonyama buphinze babonakala ngekuthi live libe ingcenye yetinhlangano temhlaba lapho khona kuphakanyiswa kuthula nentuthuko. Ubuholi bayo inkosi bubeke embili emasiko leselive laseSwatini lidume ngawo umhlaba wonke. Kule minyaka ingonyama isesihlalweni live lichubekele embili kutentuthuko netakhiwo letinkulu, kutemfundo, kutempilo, kutekulima nenhlala kahle emaswati. Sibonga inkosi yelizulu lesibekele ingonyama esihlalweni. Sithandaza njalo ukuthi uNkulunkulu ambusise wekunene ngenhlakanipho yobuholi nangempilo lenze bayethe wena baphakathi.
kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza lokusembili.
To all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Babani. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Kusile Breakfast Show. This is the Tuesday edition. We're now joined by the High Commissioner of India, Ram Prasad, who's here to talk about the International Big Cat Summit, which will be held in India on the 1st of June 2026. And what this means, what the summit means for the Kingdom of Eswatini. Very good morning, Your Excellency. Thank you for coming through on the Breakfast Show today. Actually, India's hosting two summits, actually, the International Big Cat Summit being one of them. Tell us more about these summits being held on the 31st and the 1st of June.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Lulu, for having me on your show, and good morning to all your viewers. So basically, we are holding two summits, where they are back-to-back summits. The first one is the the India-Africa Forum Summit, which is the 4th edition. And then on June 1st, we'll be hosting the International Big Cat Alliance Summit. So the first summit is actually specific to Africa. So we have extended invites to more than 54 member countries of the AU, and this is the 4th edition. Just to put some context to the forum summit, this India-Africa Forum is basically an apex mechanism for India's engagement with Africa. So, we have heard of the continental divide when at one point of time India and Africa were together, geographically joined. So when that split happened, we are now having roughly the same amount of population. India is 1.4 and Africa, the entire Africa is something similar. So it's only natural that since we have a shared history, we have shared values, shared culture, and we have a youthful population, and shared demographic values and shared aspirations. It's only natural that we should also come together to derive the best synergies for the welfare of our populations. So it was this purpose that led to the formation of the India-Africa Forum Summit, first edition of which was held in 2008. The second edition was held in 2011 in Addis Ababa, and the third one in 2015. So now in 2026, on 31st of May, we will be having the leaders level participation. This time around, it's going to be bigger and better because we are also involving the regional economic communities and also international organizations to participate in the summit. So if you, as far as India's engagement with Africa is concerned, it is based on 10 principles which were enunciated during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Uganda when he addressed the Ugandan parliament. So to put in a nutshell, these 10 principles are like Africa will be at the top of our priorities, and our whatever development partnership will be guided by African priorities, and we will keep our markets open, and we will harness India's experience with the digital revolution and share it with Africa. We will also work to improve Africa's agriculture, challenges of climate. Will strengthen our cooperation and mutual capabilities in combating terrorism and extremism. Also, we'll work with African nations to keep the oceans open, which is very important in today's context. And also global engagement in Africa increases. So we'll also make sure that Africa is a nursery for the aspiration of Africa's youth. So that, and also we will also work together for a just, representative and democratic global order. So and that has a voice for now nearly 40% of humanity that lives in Africa and India. So these are the 10 principles on which we have the direction of India-Africa cooperation lies. And based on this, for this 2026 IAFS 4 summit, the pillars of cooperation will be political and strategic cooperation, peace, security, governance, economic transformation and trade, and also agriculture and health, education and human development, development partnership, space technology, innovation, artificial intelligence, climate action, environmental sustainability, culture and people-to-people exchanges. So these will be the pillars of cooperation, and these will all be drawn from the directions given by our Honorable Prime Minister in the 10 Kampala principles. So that is about the first summit, which is the IAFS summit. And this will culminate in the issuing of a Delhi declaration. So for which preparatory work will be done in the senior officials meeting on the 28th, and then followed by a foreign ministers meeting on the 29th, and 31st will be the leaders summit. So coming to the next summit, which is the International Big Cat Alliance Summit, this is this basically is part of the pillar of cooperation on climate action and environment sustainability. So this is more wider in scope in that it involves about 95 countries. It's not only Africa, but also the Americas, Europe, and wherever there is a population of big cats, which is in about 95 range countries. So Eswatini is a founding member of the Big Cat Alliance, and it has, because of its early adaptation to climate change, it is well positioned to meet the requirements of climate change and sustainability. So the purpose of this summit is to strengthen global cooperation on big cat conservation, and then showcase the best practices and innovations in the management of big cats, and promote policy and institutional synergy in habitat conservation, and then catalyze community engagement in big cat conservation, mobilize resources and partnerships, evolve strategies to promote human-wildlife coexistence, and also biodiversity conservation. So these are all the goals of this thing. And there is also an outcome document which is, I think, being negotiated, and that will also be issued at the end of this summit.
Yeah. So, Your Excellency, Eswatini was one of the first countries to back India's Big Cat Alliance. So now let's talk about the benefits that come with Eswatini attending this summit. What will ordinary Swazis get from the summit? You know, is it more jobs for the youth, protection for farmers, or even more tourists coming into the country?
Yeah, so definitely. So I'll take the last question first because that will cover your earlier two questions also. So speaking of tourism, you know, in India there was one particular tigress and her cub which made headlines, and that was in Ranthambore National Park, and that tigress was alone accounted for $103 million in tourism attraction. So, speaking of Eswatini in particular, we have the Shlane National Park, you know, which is home to some of the big cats. So, you know, the entire Africa, you know, we have seen the big game reserves like Serengeti National Park or Kruger or Shlane or the Masai Mara. So, people all over the world, they spend big money in coming to these national parks and spend money on tourism. So yes, the answer to your last question is definitely there is big potential for tourism in this. And our this thing is the objective of the Big Cat Alliance. One of the purposes is also encouragement of tourism, and along with tourism also comes jobs. So that answers your first question. So putting these together, yes, there is tremendous potential for both livelihood, jobs coming, and coming into place in a sustainable manner through wildlife conservation.
So the summit covers 7 cats, Your Excellency, and we know that India is most famous for tigers. How would you make sure that Africa's lions and leopards don't get forgotten?
Precisely. So, you know, India has got excellent experience in you know, and India is also home to the lion. So it's not that we are forgetting the lion. So we are treating all big cats equally, but India, the lion population is, you know, is native to both India and Africa. So and we have the Project Tiger, we have the Project Leopard, Project Snow Leopard. So all these projects, India has gained a lot of experience in you know, big cat management, population management. We even recently imported cheetahs from Namibia, which are resettled in India. Cheetahs were at one point of time found in India also, but due to poaching and hunting, they got extinct. So it is our effort to repopulate the cheetah population. So please be assured that no big cat will be forgotten. All the big cats will be treated equally and given priority.
Yeah. So we know that, Your Excellency, that India pledged a lot of money for this alliance. How will that money benefit, you know, Eswatini, the wildlife of Eswatini?
So you know, there are you know, we have you know, this technical expertise, so that we'll be sharing, and climate finance. So Eswatini will get, as a member country, it will get access to climate finance. So these are the ways that Eswatini will be benefiting, other than the, you know, the national priorities of wildlife conservation, in which we'll be sharing our own expertise with Eswatini.
All right. So after the 1st of June and after the whole summit has been completed, what's that one thing you want Eswatini to achieve from the summit, probably in the next year?
I don't know about a summit next year, but definitely there is a long outcome document which is being drafted. So it is pretty generic and it's pretty broad-based. So it is up to Eswatini to decide its own priorities and let us know what the form of cooperation they want, and we'll be very happy to share our own technical assistance or climate finance assistance, whatever. So it will all be decided by Eswatini's national priorities.
All right. So Eswatini ratified the IPCSA early 2025 in January last year, ahead of most SADC countries. Was that a political win for India?
It is actually a win for Eswatini. It's because it's though India is spearheading this in Big Cat Alliance, so it is a win for whichever country signs on to the alliance.
Yeah.
So presently we have about 25 member countries and a couple of 4 or 5 observer countries and the remaining range countries. So whichever country signs on to the membership, where it will be a win for that country.
So besides, beyond that daily declaration, what concrete measurable outcome does India want from Eswatini by December this year?
We don't want anything. It's up to Eswatini to decide what it wants, and in that will be one of the principal pillars of cooperation in the leading to the Delhi Declaration is the climate action and environment sustainability. So as I just said earlier in my interview at the beginning, that our cooperation will be decided on your priorities. So whatever is the priority of Eswatini, we'll happily and wholeheartedly support it.
Okay, so let's go through the main day, the 1st of June. What will happen during the meeting? Topics that will be discussed during the summit.
Okay, so this meeting will happen at 2 levels. So on 1st of June, it will be the leaders' summit, in which there will be statements of purpose from all the leaders, and there will also be it will be followed on the next day, on June 2nd, by technical level discussions, in which the technical level officials from Eswatini will be participating and deciding, and there the national priorities will be discussed, and what Eswatini wants, what is possible to be given. So those things will be thrashed out there.
Okay, so let's talk about the summit linking biodiversity conservation with climate resilience and sustainable development.
Sorry, I didn't. Could you rephrase?
Let's talk about the importance, of this summit linking biodiversity conservation and climate resilience.
Yeah. So, it's a very valid and a very pertinent question, so which anybody will ask. So, big cat conservation is also directly linked because, first of all, we will be protecting the forests. Now, the forests themselves are a big carbon sink. So, they absorb so much carbon dioxide, which otherwise would have gone into the atmosphere. So by protecting the big cats, we are also protecting the habitat. So and also the food chain and the conservation of big cats leads to ecological balance. And also we are protecting the biodiversity, all of which will ultimately lead to climate change and contribute to the sustainable developmental goals of the world.
All right. So thank you, Excellency. Will the summit be, broadcast online platforms? Yes.
Yes, definitely. They will be broadcast online. We have already have 2 websites dedicated to both the summits. So one is it's called the IAFS 26.in, and the second one is for the Big Cat Alliance. So dedicated web, and they will be well covered by the media, especially since leaders from across the world will be joining in these two mega events.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Indian High Commissioner Ram Prasad speaking on the International PCAT Summit to be hosted by India on the 1st of June 2026. Eswatini, as he has highlighted, will benefit from this summit. Let's go for a break. We'll come back shortly.
Bring your fire to the 19th edition of the MTN Bushfire Festival from 29 to 31 May 2026 at House on Fire in Malkins. Good news for local fans of the festival. Specially discounted festival tickets are available once again for Eswatini exclusively on MTN Momo WhatsApp Marketplace. Simply WhatsApp HI to 7808-4000 and follow the prompts. Hurry and secure your discounted festival tickets while stocks last. More info at bush-fire.com. MTN Bushfire. Bring your fire.
Hi, I'm Alex. Here's a riddle for you. What can you own but never hold? Let me show you. Welcome to cyberspace, home to a lot of the things that we use in our daily lives. Games, videos, and so much of our data. But also, here it is, crypto assets. You've probably heard of a few, maybe Bitcoin, Ether, or others. So what am I driving at here? After the global financial crisis, trust in banks was at an all-time low. Crypto assets were created as an alternative way to make payments, democratizing and decentralizing finance. Basically taking power away from banks and putting it in the hands of the people. The idea was that they were going to fundamentally change the world of finance with their decentralized ledger technology, the blockchain. So, what's the catch? Without backing assets or a central authority, crypto assets seem to be really volatile. That's great if you want to gamble, not so great if you want to pay for something. Because how can you really pay for something with an asset that isn't a stable store of value? Enter the stablecoin, a crypto asset built on the blockchain, but usually with a centralized issuer. While the value of crypto assets like Bitcoin is determined by supply and demand, stablecoins aim to have value by being pegged to another asset in one of two ways. The first is by backing the stablecoin with another asset, like the dollar, the euro, or even a commodity like gold. In theory, keeping a one-to-one parity. But wait a minute. Doesn't this go against the founding premise of crypto? Maybe, but it also allows users to stay in the crypto universe without all the volatility. The second way stablecoins try to maintain value is through an algorithm, a formula that automatically raises and lowers the total number of a given asset in response to supply and demand to keep the price at or near par. One danger with stablecoins is market shocks. If prices begin to fall too quickly, or users lose faith in the ability of the stablecoin to keep its desired pace, everyone could try to sell their stablecoins all at once, dropping their value almost overnight. There are a few famous examples of stablecoins that have crashed over the years. Some people lost all their savings after relying on something they believed had a fixed value. So, is this the end of the stablecoin story? We can't really be sure. Some still see the promise. They think that stablecoins have the potential to increase access to financial services and become a viable payment method. But for that to happen, there needs to be regulation to prevent fraud and crashes and to protect users from abuse. Before imposing regulation, authorities will look at how people are actually using stablecoins, whether it's for payments or something else. Some authorities are looking to regulate the bigger stablecoins the way they do banks and other traditional financial institutions. Now, here's the real riddle. If these stablecoins are regulated like banks, don't they end up becoming the banks that crypto assets were meant to replace?
When you choose your adventures, You do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the news at 7. His Majesty King Mswati III has announced plans for the construction of a new state-of-the-art 40,000-seater stadium. The King made the announcement on Sunday at Samhlola National Stadium during the Ingonyama Cup competition finals, where he crowned Nsingizini Hotspurs as the new Ingonyama Cup champions.
Somhlolo National Stadium was filled to the rafters as the nation turned out for the Ingonyama Cup final between Green Mamba and Nsingizini Hotspurs. The spectacle was graced by Her Majesty Indlovukazi Sigodlo and guests, including the Secretary General of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, His Excellency Musa Batraki. Nsingizini Hotspurs clinched the title, walking away with 1.4 million emalangeni. In line with his ongoing drive to develop the nation's infrastructure, His Majesty announced plans for the construction of a new 40,000-seater stadium.
Bayethe unaphakathi isilo sikhulu kule minyaka lengamashumi lamane lendlulile silibonile ligalelo lakho naphakathi ukuthuthukisa demidlalo. Sekungaba buta ndlamadoda ukuthi ingabe yini lengendiwa ukuthi kufezeke leliphupho lengonyama lokuthi sigcine sikhicita tihlabani kakhulu emidlalweni webhola letawatiwa mhlaba wonke jikelele kube nelikhethelo lakho silo lingagcine selidlala ku World Cup. Bayethe phakathi
kungaba into lenhle ukuthi sisachubeka emva kwa 40 years bakangwane babona ukuthi angibe sesigabeni sebukhosi ukuthi kube nemlandvo ilegacy letawusala leyawubonakala ukuthi usale lapha njoba ngikhuluma ngestadium nje stadium lesifanele sakhiwe lesisha hayi ukuthi kusitawukhulisa lesi sitawakha lesisha stadium lesicala afresh ema designers asavela saqalile ayasi designer kakhulu lenkholwako ngekuthi le stadium sitaba fully equipped ukuthi sawukhona kutrain emaswati akwati ukuthi noma ngasingenela imidlalo yabo AFCON World Cup bonalise ukuthi siya qualify singemaswati le midlalo lena yokuwaqeqesha emaswati ukuthi sisive sisakhula sigcina sikhulile kakhulu kutemasiko kutemidlalo nasithi siya AFCON kubalwe ukuthi emaswati akhona nakuthiwa siya ku World Cup sibalwe ukuthi sikhona nasithi noma ngangiphi imidlalo lesiyakiyo singasali ngemuva ngoba sidabe sesiqeqeshewe kakhulu ebekunene.
His Majesty also crowned the cultural groups that emerged victorious in the cultural category. Imbongi Thulane Mkhatshwa showcased exceptional oratory skills and earned the champion title, while Sibaca group from Mapalaleni proved too strong for their competitors. Lutsango from Luvinjelweni emerged victorious, while Emajaha from Umkhuzweni once again took the title home. Imbali from Dlangeni claimed the top spot in the Ummiso category. His Majesty announced the increased prize money for winners of Sibhaca, Imbali and Timbonge categories. Winners of Imbali and Sibhaca, who previously received 65,000 emalangeni, will now be taking home 110,000 emalangeni. Timbonge have been boosted from 25,000 emalangeni to 50,000 emalangeni. There were moments when the nation stood as a united front, even while supporting different teams. This was a powerful manifestation of the King's vision of bringing his people together under the shared umbrella of culture and sport. From Somhlodo National Stadium, I am Sandile Makanya reporting with Zweli Masuku.
It is important for African states to be united when dealing with other organizations like the European Union. This was said by Eswatini's representative at the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States during the inaugural OSCP Joint African-EU Parliamentary meeting at the ICC in Eswatini.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is currently hosting the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States African Regional Parliamentary Group meeting and the first joint session of the Joint Africa-EU Parliamentary Assembly. Speaking during a session of African member states who are members of OACPS, Prince Lindan, who is representing Eswatini, called for unity among African member states.
Eswatini's duty is quite simple. Give Africa the space to unite before we negotiate with anyone else. Africa's 4 non-negotiables for this joint parliamentary assembly cycles are: 1. Parliamentary power must be real. 2. Global gateway must serve Africa's plan and not bypass it. 3. Youth dividend. 4. Climate justice, not climate charity. The role of this African region, the Pacific and the Caribbean, are watching us. If Africa arrives in Brussels divided, we'll all lose. But if Africa arrives with one text, then all of us win.
OACPS Secretary General Musa Petraki says the Malabo Declaration by member states should be implemented.
The message of our heads of state and government was clear. The OACPS must transform itself. It must revitalize itself. It must regain its full political credibility. It must strengthen its financial autonomy. It must become a more visible, more influential, and more useful organization for its member states and their peoples. In Malabo, our leaders recognize that our organization remains a unique platform, a platform that brings together Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific, a platform which speaks in one voice in a changing world.
Eswatini is expected to host the OACPS Summit in 2029. Reporting, I am Linton Kule, Ezulwini.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Thuli Dladla, has landed at Entebbe International Airport, Kampala, Uganda. The DPM is expected to represent His Majesty King Mswati III at the President-elect of His Excellency Yoweri Museveni swearing-in and inauguration ceremony at Kololo Independence Grounds. The DPM was received by Ambassador Johnny Muhindo and Honorable Mugasa Grace Mary, Minister for Public Service. The Deputy Prime Minister is accompanied by the Minister for Public Service, Honorable Mabulala Maseko.
The Deputy Prime Minister arrived at Entebbe International Airport, Kampala, Uganda at around 10 p.m. yesterday, and she is expected to join about 35 world leaders for President Yoweri Museveni's swearing-in and inauguration ceremony scheduled for today at Kololo Independence Grounds. The 81-year-old President Yoweri Museveni is assuming the presidency for his 7th term after defeating his main challenger, opposition leader, who is widely known as Bobi Wine, with 71.65% of the vote against 24.72%. The ceremony will be held under the theme Protecting the Gains, Making a Qualitative Leap into High Middle Income Status. The day has also been declared a public holiday in Uganda. President-elect Yoweri Museveni has been in office for the past 40 years after assuming power in January 1986. Reporting, Nelson Ndlangamandla, Uganda.
Elderly people in Eswatini will be able to access free medical health services through a partnership between the Ministry of Health and Philani Maswati. The Minister of Health, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula, announced that the initiative will take place on the 18th of July this year. The minister made the announcement while officially launching the Philani Maswati interactive website, which will enable people to purchase memberships and buy tickets online.
Every year, a week before the biggest Pride, the Ministry of Health, together with Philani Maswati and its partners, conducts a community outreach program to assist the elderly. This year will be no different. The Minister of Health, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula, says the partnership was established by the patron of Philani Maswati with the aim of assisting and taking care of the health of elderly people.
Ngumsebenzi lesanikwa wona indlovu yemhlaba ukuthi baka health bawushada nebakaphilana babahlole lapho ogogo nabomkhulu ukuthi baphilile labangaphili babalaphe nale makhaya labahlala khona lapho ogogo vele litiko sela uvele langena ukuthi libahlole njalo njalo bogogo ukuthi baphilile.
The minister says the ministry also has initiatives that ensure health workers visit and check on elderly within their communities. The minister announced that the health outreach program will take place in Manzini on the 18th of July 2026. On the other hand, the minister officially launched the Philani Maswati interactive website, which will enable people to buy membership cards and purchase tickets online. Philani Maswati chairperson Lutfo Dlamini says the initiative follows the advice of the patron, who encouraged them to develop ideas that can generate funds to support the elderly.
Ezofaka imali lapha basitshele lamajaji ukuthi sitayisherisha le commission nalabo labasifakela le mali bo MTN nabo imali, and that goes towards building up a fund yakaphilani. We are very excited that we are part of the history making. Luvukazi wasithuma ukuthi asisitaleni into letawuletha enough money to run lama projects singaphe kubabozini khamisa.
The Minister of Health also supported Philani Maswati by donating 10,000 emalangeni in cash. In addition, the minister pledged to purchase 10 tickets for each chiefdom under the Sipotusini in Nkundla. Reporting, Sondomlangeni with Kusile Mavimbela in Babane.
Young people in Eswatini who are innovators will have an opportunity to present solutions that can benefit Eswatini and the world at large, while also standing a chance to win $1 million at the Startup World Cup in Silicon Valley. Speaking during the launch of the Startup World Cup Eswatini, the Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Honorable Savannah Mazia, says young people in the country are capable of winning the competition because they are intelligent and have innovative ideas that can help address youth unemployment.
A World Bank report on Eswatini reveals that 49% of young people in Eswatini are unemployed. Each year, about 25,000 young people graduate, while only 1,000 are absorbed into the job market, leaving many without employment opportunities. In effort to address this challenge, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, together with the Royal Science and Technology Park, has partnered with Pegasus to create opportunities for young people to participate in the Startup World Cup in Silicon Valley. The Minister of ICT, Honorable Savannah Mazia, says young people in Eswatini have the potential to turn their innovative ideas into reality.
Being here then means we're deliberately positioning ourselves in Eswatini as an innovation and digital investment hub within the sub-Saharan region. For too long now, small countries are always told, think small, act small. But in Eswatini, our size is not seen as a weakness. We see it as a strength and an advantage. It allows us to move with agility, innovation, and to be fast and agile and position ourselves as those who are leading in the global digital economy. We no longer look at ourselves as landlocked, but land-linked and connected digitally to the rest of the world. Most important, 70% of our population is under the age of 35. That for us is seen as a great asset. We see it as a means for us to compete advantageously, and it means that our young people who are energetic, willing, and able are not contaminated, but contained, and also want to be able to succeed in the world of digitalization.
The acting chief executive officer of the Royal Science and Technology Park, Madoda Mtsiniso, says the initiative will give young people a platform to present their ideas to larger companies and potential investors.
Through this partnership, Eswatini now joins a global innovation ecosystem that connects entrepreneurs from across the globe, giving funders the chance to pitch their ideas to world-class investors, gain international exposure, and access networks that can transform their businesses.
The Director of Research in the Ministry of ICT, Dr. Rejoice Masego, says building a knowledge-based economy can help the country grow and thrive.
By bringing the Startup World Cup to our shores, RSTP is opening a gateway for local startups to compete for this grand prize on the world's most prestigious stage in the Silicon Valley.
Young people can learn more about the Startup World Cup through the RSTP website. This initiative demonstrates that Eswatini is moving in the right direction towards becoming a small country that leads in innovation. Reporting Sondomlangen with Kusile Mavimbela in Nokwane.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade has officially announced a new board of directors to the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority that will lead efforts to accelerate entrepreneurial growth. The appointment of the board comes at a time when government is intensifying efforts to create an enabling environment for business expansion, attract domestic and foreign investment to generate the much-needed employment opportunities for eMaswati. In his remarks at the APA offices, the minister introduced Ubombo Sugar's managing director, Muzi Siaya, as the new chairman of the board.
The appointed board of 6 new members is expected to play a critical role in promoting investment and creating job opportunities across the country through industrial and commercial activity. The board consists of Labour Commissioner Kingdom Mamba and SBS Bank Managing Director Mbalis Banyoni, among others. The Minister for Commerce, Honorable Mangoba Khumalo, says the new board has been entrusted with the responsibility of providing strategic leadership to enable private sector development.
This board is expected to provide oversight, strengthen corporate governance, and guide the authority in executing its mandate with efficiency and accountability. We are also reviewing the investment policy to make sure that it is best in class, and that will inform a revision of the 1988 Act.
Chairman of the board, Muzi Siaya, says as per the development agenda, they will hit the ground running in implementing and achieving the demands of Eswatini's investment strategy.
We are fully aligned with the national mandate, and we look forward to working closely with the ministry and IPA management under the capable leadership of the CEO. We also look forward to working with the private sector and all stakeholders to ensure that the agency continues to deliver with professionalism, efficiency, and integrity.
The new board has been appointed for a 3-year tenure with the responsibility of providing strategic direction, strengthening institutional governance, and ensuring that IPA delivers on the mandate of driving investment promotion and facilitate both domestic and foreign direct investment into Eswatini. Reporting, Notsiles Tole, Vumingo Sinzinisa, Babane.
The Ministry of Agriculture continues to empower farmers across the country by providing essential knowledge in livestock production. This follows a training workshop organized by the ministry aimed at equipping both existing and aspiring farmers with skills in layer poultry production.
The ministry brought together farmers from different areas in and around the city of Mbabane to train them on layer poultry production. The workshop is aimed at equipping farmers with the knowledge and skills required for egg production, while also helping them improve and grow their businesses. Lungile Khumalo from the Ministry of Agriculture, who facilitated the session on poultry management, says it is important for farmers to produce at the required standards.
Ngithatha umfuyi kusukela ekuqaleni size siyomkhipha ilicanza seliphuma lingena liya emakethe sothi nje namhla sidakhulumisa ukuthi kwakudona leti nkukhu ukuze tikuperformele kahle indlu le kumele utigcine kuyo indlu le kanjani.
Khumalo says the training takes farmers through the entire process from startup to marketing their eggs, including how to maximize production and properly care for their birds. Khumalo adds that the workshop forms part of the ministry's ongoing efforts to develop and support farmers across the country. Ncedi Simelane from Feedmaster, a company that supplies poultry feed, says as a company, they also have a responsibility to play their part in supporting the growth of the industry.
We are trying to empower farmers to acquire my business, our livestock, are sustainable. Through what
Simelane says the company empowers farmers to build sustainable businesses through modern farming methods while also strengthening its relationship with farmers. A farmer, Comfort Jele, says the training will greatly help him gain deeper knowledge and build confidence as a beginner in the business.
I-training le ndayibona le khona namhlanje nangicaba ukuthi itangisida vele ukuthi ngikhona lokwadi nje ukuthi ufuna ngicale kuphi ngigcine kuphi nangifuna kwenda ngikuphi amacansi otherwise vele nje ngicansi lokumcwa kakhulu vele kuyaye kube ngilokuthi sidihawuza kanjani ezinkukhu.
Jele says the training will help him understand where to start, from setting up poultry structures to building a profitable farming business. The workshop comes at a time when the poultry sector is facing challenges, including the rising cost of poultry feed. Reporting, Nolazi Ngampalala, Nombendulo Shabalala, Mbabane.
In international news, one person in France has tested positive for hantavirus.
And Amsterdam. Ambulances carrying French passengers repatriated from Tenerife arrive at this Paris hospital Sunday. According to the country's health minister, a woman who showed symptoms during the repatriation flight has tested positive for hantavirus.
This person was on the cruise ship, returned yesterday, took a turn for the worse, and has tested positive for the hantavirus. So this is a patient with the hantavirus who is being treated at a hospital specializing in infectious diseases, where the rooms are equipped with advanced technology designed to provide a high level of protection and, of course, prevent the virus from spreading.
Health experts say the fact the patient who showed symptoms on board Sunday's flight had their condition worsen in a matter of hours demonstrates the virus is progressing rapidly.
This is a faster evolution than what we normally observe. We usually have onset symptoms for around 3 days where the patient complains of a fever, muscular pain, digestion problems. And after 3 days, there are symptoms of difficulty breathing, and that signals a worsening. Here, things are evolving quickly.
The 4 other patients are set to be retested and remain in isolation at hospital for around 2 weeks, with a possibility of a further extension. Authorities have also confirmed 22 French nationals are in self-quarantine after being exposed to someone with hantavirus. They include 8 people who traveled on a flight between St. Helena and Johannesburg, and 14 others on a flight between Johannesburg and Amsterdam.
An American citizen and a French woman evacuated from the cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak have tested positive, officials said, as the repatriation operation continued on Monday. So far, at least 6 cases have been confirmed, 2 are suspected, and 3 passengers have died following the outbreak of the rare virus, for which no specific cure exists.
The final 22 passengers prepare to disembark from the MV Hondas, still docked at a port in the Canary Islands. On Sunday, 94 people of 19 different nationalities were flown out, back to their respective countries. So far, 7 cases of hantavirus have been confirmed in France, the United States, Switzerland, the Netherlands, South Africa, and the British Overseas Territory of Tristan da Cunha. So should we be concerned about the spread now accelerating? Specialists say the virus's mortality rate is high, between 30 and 40%. But the risk of infection is lower than that of COVID-19. And unlike COVID, it's not a new virus and has been known about for decades.
The cases are very close contacts, either spouses, people living under the same roof, or the doctor who treated the patient.
The literature shows that 60% of infected patients require intensive care. I'd compare it to Ebola in terms of severity. We're not talking about the flu or COVID here. It's a virus that's extremely serious once you've been infected.
So far, all patients have been infected by people who were already showing symptoms. Overnight, repatriated British passengers arrived at a hospital near Liverpool for tests before isolating. American nationals have arrived at a specialist clinic in Nebraska, where a senior US health official has said they would not necessarily quarantine, going against the World Health Organization's advice.
Starting from May 10, 42 days of quarantine. But it could be in a facility or at home. Countries, we advise them, but at the end of the day, we don't impose. Countries follow their national guidelines, and based on the risk assessment, they can.
U.S. President Donald Trump has slammed Iran's response to Washington's proposal to wind down the war in the Middle East. That was delivered by Pakistani mediators Sunday.
I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable.
The U.S. leader did not give further details, but Iranian state TV reported that Tehran rebuked Washington's plan as it amounted to surrender. Iran's response insisted on war reparations by the U.S., full sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, an end to sanctions, and a release of Iranian assets. That puts negotiations in a deadlock, as opening up the key shipping lane and suspending Iran's nuclear program are Washington's core demands.
But I got to tell you, President Trump has been clear they will never have a nuclear weapon, and they cannot hold the world's economies hostage. That's not just us, Shannon. That's the entire United Nations. That's the world community that has passed resolution after resolution for 20 years, saying they can't have a nuke.
Also on Sunday, drone attacks were reported in Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, where one hit a freighter. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in an interview in U.S. media that the war would not be over before Iran's enriched uranium was taken out, which he suggested could be done by force if necessary.
French President Emmanuel Macron and more than 30 African leaders kicked off a summit in Kenya on Monday aimed at diversifying Paris partnership on the continent and clinching new investment deals. The Africa Forward Summit is the first France has organized in an English-speaking nation since it began holding such events in the 1970s and follows a series of setbacks in former colonies in West Africa that have moved to reduce French influence.
A warm welcome for Emmanuel Macron as he touched down in Nairobi. The French president is in Kenya for 3 days of diplomacy and trade, wasting no time as he announced more than €1 billion in investment deals on Sunday.
France is leveraging its expertise in sectors critical to Kenya's growth and innovation: energy, digital, and transportation infrastructure, which are your priorities.
Among those deals, a €700 million partnership between the Kenyan government and French shipping giant CMA CGM for a new container ship terminal at the port of Mombasa on the Indian Ocean, along with $225 million from French investment firm Meridiam to expand Kenyan wind energy production. But the highlight of Macron's visit is likely to be the 2-day Africa Forward Summit. More than 70 French companies have accompanied the president seeking new deals. Paris is looking to Kenya as an opportunity to develop its African presence without the weight of history that hangs over France's former West African colonies like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, from which French forces have withdrawn in recent years following military coups. Kenya is also a crucial entryway into the wider East African market. Western tech giants like Google and Microsoft are present there. French businesses have grown from around 30 companies in 2012 to some 140 today. there is room to grow. Trade between the two countries remains relatively low at just around 300 million euros in 2024. France is number 18 on the rank of Kenyan export destinations. As of this year, France is the 5th largest source of foreign investment into Kenya, far behind the United Kingdom.
In our sports news, the Institute of Management has signed a memorandum of understanding with the organization that oversees sports associations in the country, which will see the institution introducing sports management studies. The agreement was signed at the Ministry of Sports offices in Babane.
This memorandum of understanding between the Institute of Development Management, IDM, and the organization that oversees sports associations in the country, the National Sports Council, will see the college introducing sports management studies. Sports associations, coaches, and athletes will have an opportunity to start at the institution. The Minister of Sports in the country, Bonganzima, says the signing of this agreement will help improve cooperation and the management of sports to a higher level in the country.
For too long, the people who run our sporting federations, administer our national teams, and coach our athletes have had to develop their expertise through experience alone, without the benefit of formal qualifications, structured curricula, and a professional certification. IDM is changing that. And in doing so, it is not just serving the sports sector, it is saving Eswatini. Under this MOU, IDM and the Eswatini National Sports and Recreational Council will collaborate on curriculum development informed by real industry need.
The director of IDM in the country, Karabo Paipidi, says one of the main reasons they signed this MOU with the Sports Council is because the institution also wants to play a role in the development of sports in the country.
This is the trajectory, Honorable Minister, that we have set for ourselves so that we can unlock opportunities for Eswatini who are interested in sports. We recognize sports as an area of economic activity, that the very fact that there are no higher education qualifications disadvantages Eswatini that are active in the sports arena. And for us as IDM, we consider this milestone an issue of social justice by just the mere fact of developing innovative programs in this area. It unlocks opportunities, it enables career mobility for people that are, or professionals and officers that are active in sports, but it also allows them to grow and to professionalize sports, which is something that and I know this is a passion that we share with Sports Council. We are eager to contribute towards professionalizing sports in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
The Chief Executive Officer of the organization overseeing Olympic and Commonwealth Games in the country, Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association, Maxwell Chele, expressed excitement that there will now be a higher learning institution offering sports management studies, as they had already started training sports associations themselves. The first program in the sports management will begin with the certificate in sports administration and a diploma in sports management, which will form the first phase of the agreement for the 2026-2027 academic period. Reporting, I'm Linda Dlamini, Babane.
And that marks the end of our second bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Don't go anywhere. We go for an ad break.
Ready to make your mark? Boto University Eswatini campus, where vibrant learning meets innovative futures. Our ESHEC accredited programs with the skills to lead in today's world. Gain hands-on experience and launch a successful career. We're shaping the next generation of leaders and innovators. Admissions are now open. Boto University Eswatini campus, where vibrant learning meets innovative futures.
Making an impact.
One student at a time.
Bayethe wena phakathi silo sikhulu singemaswati sikubonile uhlele esihlalweni sebukhosi iminyaka lengamashumi lamane ngakho ke sicela sibonga umdali ngawe ngoba kulamashumi lamane sibone intuthuko lenkulu kakhulu eSwatini sibone usakhela i-constitution sabona uqinisa kundlela lesibusa ngayo singemaswati tinkhundla letinkhundla utibhice nebuntu bethu nesilungu siphindze sibonge silo sikhulu kwekuthi usakhele ebuhlobo ngaphandle lapho sibone khona labanye baholi bahlukubeteka kepha wena ngekuthi uyinkosi yemhlaba wabathatha labo baholi wabafaka esiswini sakho sithi silo sikhulu sifisa konke lokufisile ngalelive lakho kuchubeke kukhule ezukhula nawe nathi singemaswati sikhule kanye nawe ngendlela lophethe ngayo losithandza ngayo sonke singemaswati ungabalibala lemuntu sithi silo sikhulu nathi sikuthandza ngayo le ndlela siyathandaza uNkulunkulu ukuthi akunike lo munye 40 years noma ngetulu ngoba siyakudzinga bayethe wena phakathi.
Welcome back to the program. Our topic now looks to Eswatini strengthening African presidential ties with, of course, the Republic of Uganda. It continues to strengthen its diplomatic footprint on the African continent. And, of course, with the Deputy Prime Minister Kusile leading the kingdom's delegation in Kampala, that is on behalf of His Majesty King Mswati III, at the inauguration of President-elect Yoweri Museveni. The ceremony not only marks another political milestone for Uganda, but it also highlights Eswatini's continued commitment to regional diplomacy, to strategic partnerships, as well as maintaining strong ties with fellow African nations. Our reporter Nelsiwe Ndangamandla is on the ground in Uganda following the developments, and she joins us now virtually via our Zoom video link. Nelly, we understand you are an hour ahead in Uganda. First of all, we appreciate you making time as you follow the proceedings unfolding that side. But maybe just take us through the arrival of the Deputy Prime Minister in Uganda. Just how was the Eswatini delegation received?
Thank you so much, Mnguni. The Deputy Prime Minister received a very warm welcome. As you have seen in the story that I've sent, that the ambassador came to welcome the Deputy Prime Minister, as well as the Minister for Public Service in Uganda. So she is currently leaving as we speak. So I have to rush to, after this interview, to the venue where we will witness the inauguration of President Yoweri Museveni.
Now, from what you have observed so far, just how visible is Eswatini's presence among the international delegations attending the inauguration?
The fact that Eswatini, His Majesty, has been invited to this meeting means the impact that Eswatini has made in Uganda and the whole African continent is very big. So Eswatini is among one of the countries that will be attending. So that on its own is really big. And if you look at issues of trade between Uganda and Eswatini, right now what I've realized is that they are going to sign a joint permanent agreement for cooperation, how they will enhance trade. As we have seen, that Uganda is one of the countries that has greatly improved in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the different commodities that are presented by this country. We know, Mguni, that there is the African Continental Free Trade Area that Eswatini stands to benefit from if they continue to strengthen their ties with Uganda. And Uganda has stated that they are ready to be part of the agreement as all the African countries, as well as to improve trade with Eswatini.
And of course, part of the visuals that we have been seeing right now, coming straight from Uganda, is the Deputy Prime Minister, and we see part of her delegation is the Minister for Public Service, Honorable Mabulala Maseka. I wonder if you have been able to get a sense of, how they feel and what they are looking forward to themselves as, the delegation that is with the Deputy Prime Minister.
Usually in meetings like this, Mguni, there are usually those side meetings where these delegations engage to find out if there are any opportunities of collaboration between these two countries. So that is what is going to happen. Yesterday, there was a welcoming dinner, if I may say, where all the different delegations met just to know each other, just to share information. So we are hoping that after the ceremony today, the Minister for Public Service, as you have seen, even the minister who welcomed the Deputy Prime Minister here is the Minister for Public Service. So I think the fact that the Minister for Public Service in Eswatini is attending this meeting, it is a plus for the country because it looks like there are areas of collaboration that they are looking at.
We know, Nelly, and you've mentioned it yourself, close to 35 heads of state and representatives are expected in Kampala. Maybe let's speak to some of the opportunities that this gathering creates for Eswatini on the diplomatic and economic front. I did hear you highlighting the AFCFTA, but what are others that you would submit are going to be quite essential in terms of opportunities that are being presented here diplomatically and economically?
Not to preempt, Mguni, what is going to happen, because we have to listen to the president's speech. What is he going to say? What are the opportunities that he's going to present? So for now, we are depending on that. We'll take it from his speech and maybe interview the Minister for Public Service, interview the DPM on some of the resolutions that have been made in some of the meetings, the side meetings that will be held here. So for now, let's hold our horses until maybe we hear what the president is going to say, then we'll take it from there. But some of the things that I've heard from the people of Uganda, because as I travel, I make sure that I ask some questions. Why Yoweri Museveni for president for the last 40 years. So they have said that what he brings is stability, what he brings is peace. I would assume that His Majesty has always asked for peace and stability. I would assume that the cooperation between these two countries is grounded on that. But before the president makes his speech, let's wait. I will come back with feedback at 7 p.m. today, I promise.
Nelly, well, thank you so much for your time this morning. You did mention that the Deputy Prime Minister is just headed out in her capacity, going to represent His Majesty the King. So we will allow you the time to go and cover ground then. Of course, you will give us a full report, a comprehensive one at 7 p.m. later today. Thank you so much for your time. President-elect Yoweri Museveni's inauguration happening in Kampala, Uganda, and Eswatini TV is there, and we'll bring you the latest as the events unfold. Let's go for a net break. We'll be back shortly.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi aba-researche bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kumula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokusembili.
To all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate His Majesty on serving the nation for 40 years. It is a really great milestone that we are all proud of as a Maswati.
Libito lami ngiwandile ngwakamotha. Kulo msakato sengineminyaka lengu-23 ngisebenza kiyo.
Igama lami ngu-Kosinathi Mabusela. Ngisebenzile vele ka-Swazi TV kusukela nga-1979 to 2014. Ngagcina-ke sengu-editor-in-chief khona.
In 1986, the Kingdom of Eswatini welcomed a young monarch, His Majesty King Mswati III, whose reign would usher in a new chapter of vision, unity, and pride. That same year, Eswatini television stood as the kingdom's window to the world, capturing the hopes, voices, and dreams of a nation rising with its king. As His Majesty the King guided the nation through its formative years, Eswatini television grew into the heartbeat of national expression. From community stories to national events, every frame carried the pride, rhythm, and the voice of a kingdom united by its king.
Walekelela live umsakazo. Walekelela ingonyama ngaloko ukuthi phela nawe i-public broadcaster ufuna ukhulume iqiniso njengemfundisi. Umsakazo-ke usita lapha ekuthini na usheshe wayikhipha indzaba lenye iyasita ekuthini awu sekuyashangala sekusheshe kutholakala ama-solutions. Akusinje lokhu sonke isikhathi kuhleba lomunye kuceba lomunye no. Kweku-aletha lelive lonke lithi-ke ngema-structures alo kube nesikhathi lokuthi lilungise leto tinto letonakalayo.
I'd say you're right. We are a public broadcaster, and being a public broadcaster means we exist to provide a public service. And it is a public service of educating, informing, and entertaining Maswati. particularly doing all these elements through the Swazi way, or telling the story of Eswatini, and also carrying and propagating the message and the vision of His Majesty the King.
Under His Majesty's guidance, Eswatini television became the stage for empowerment. New voices rose. Women-led, youth found their calling, telling stories of culture, resilience, and hope.
His Majesty's reign reminds us that media can educate and empower. We tell stories that celebrate Eswatini's identity.
Guided by His Majesty's vision of modernization, Eswatini television embraced innovation, evolving from analog to digital, from one channel to a network that connects every corner of the kingdom. Through technology, we carried the royal message of unity, of peace and progress to every screen and every heart.
Itolo kusakada kwethu bese kubita ngalesilungu ukuthi ku-analog. Lokusho ukuthi ku-signal engidawuthi mhlawumbe ngile final product lefika emakhaya. Bokhanza ukuthi kukhona kufitsitela kwemsindo, kukhona kufitsitela kwesithombe. Lobe khanza ke ukuthi uzodwa ukhanza ukuthi umuntu omdzalo umisa umntwana, hey ibhikisi ijikisi uyibhekisele, ijikisi uyibhekisele ukhanza sigcina sithombe lemsindo kuvakala ngconywana akhona ebuyela umuntu omdzalo emakhaya.
Today, as Eswatini celebrates His Majesty King Mswati III's 40th year on the throne, we look back with such pride. For 4 decades, Eswatini television has carried the King's vision across time, preserving the memory, the message, and the majesty of our nation's story.
Eswatini TV has been that conduit that carries the voice of His Majesty the King over his 40 years of reign. His Majesty the King, through different forums, including Sibaya, speaks great messages in terms of the direction that the country should take, in terms of guidance to Emaswati, in terms of also just inspiring the nation. Eswatini TV carries those messages to the entire country and the rest of the world.
40 years of the King, 40 years of the nation's voice. Eswatini television salutes His Majesty King Mswati III, our beacon of unity, culture, and progress. Long live the King. Long live Eswatini.
This is Subsidy, the game show where we talk about government-sponsored financial incentives. Our first question: which of these sectors benefits from government subsidies? Agriculture, education, transportation, or all of the above?
Oh, that's easy.
The answer is all of the above.
He's right, but there's more to the story. Sometimes governments support their people and businesses through a policy tool that brings down prices called subsidies. They do this to create long-term benefits for the economy or to help pay for things that the market isn't providing but that people cannot live without. Subsidies can also be a helpful tool when an economy is hit by crisis. Let me show you what I mean. Take housing. Everyone needs a roof over their head. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford it. But governments can help by subsidizing rent for poorer citizens or building more low-cost homes. Education subsidies, like discounted tuition or free textbooks, can make schooling affordable for more people. As a result, people are more skilled and can get better jobs. Even something as small as bringing down the cost of public transportation yields benefits for the environment. Not to mention, it gives people more options about where they can live and work. But not all subsidies are helpful. Some have downsides. Oh, this is me.
Doors open.
Take a look at one of the most common subsidies. Energy. In a lot of countries, fuel subsidies can mean consumers are paying less for fuel than it actually costs to produce. And that doesn't even reflect the environmental cost. Look at coal. Burning coal produces electricity, but it also pumps carbon into the air, which causes pollution and contributes to climate change. If the price tag on coal doesn't include these environmental costs, companies will always choose cheap, subsidized coal over more expensive clean energy sources. On the flip side, when governments subsidize green energy sources, they make the clean choice the more affordable option. At the IMF, we support these types of reforms that get energy prices right and tax pollution, especially when the added revenue goes towards programs that can help the poor. Basically, making sure that subsidies do what's best for people, the economy, and Mother Earth.
Right, 4 minutes before 8 o'clock. Sasifika maphetheleni ihlelo lomhla ekuseni. Sibonge kakhulu nje ukuthi namhlanje khethe kuvuka nathi lomuhla. Solo siyachupha nje nehlelo kusasa kepha sekufoketele kuba nawe lomuhla and also learned lokuningi ngehlelo lefu lomhla ekuseni njengoba nibone nje sisele ifu yemsakato. Nelly use Uganda with the Deputy Prime Minister lapho khona ayo attenda kubekwa kwa President Museveni.
Yoweri Museveni, yeah, President-elect Yoweri Museveni, and I think, you know, Lulu, lakuveta konyalo bayaphuma Deputy Prime Minister ehotela, so yaqala yona imihlangano yemisebenzi yelusuku njengoba avetile ukuthi kunaleminye imihlangano leba khona on the sidelines lebuka nje indlela emavela amabili lafaya ekhathi livela kangwane nelase Uganda lesakhe ebudlelwane lobuhle ngakhona iminyaka nangeminyaka ukuthi sichubeka sivundlondlobalisa kanjani njengoba sibonile ukuthi ikhona nendvuna ka public service umhlonishwa Mabulala Maseko, who is also going to be attending meetings on the sidelines kubuka ukuthi luhlangothi lwe portfolio yangakakhe singaluthuthukisa kanjani lapha ekhaya Eswatini. We are expecting to get more reports coming from Nelsiwe, coming from Uganda, Kampala, lusuke lusachubeka utawugatha encenye tindzaba tanga-1 emini noma ke tangesikhombisa nzamba kodwa ke sida uchubeka sikuphe imibiko leqhamuka khona.
Yeah, and awaloko sinibona kusasa nisele kahle.
Mswatu ingozi thula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yedenza bakhe akayithathe
purer than gold, whiter than snow, deeper than the ocean.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Mbukeli, thank you once again. Thank you once again for tuning in on this beautiful Sunday, Mbukeli, on your number one gospel show. It is Gospel Impact. And I'm so excited to be standing here, Mbukeli. Kuba nawe nje namuhla kukhumbuta noma ke kukuvusetele emoyeni Mbukeli ukusho ukuthi ukhona uNkulunkulu Mbukeli. No matter what you are going through, I am just here to stand and say ukhona uNkulunkulu. Let us allow God to take us through the process Mbukeli. Whatever that you see on the beautiful shops, the jewelry shops, it goes through water, it goes through the fire, it goes through blades. So just allow God to take you through the process. I know sometimes it's difficult, you want to give up, but let me remind you, do not give up on God, because he'll never give up on you. It doesn't matter which corner you are in, how long you've been there. I don't know what mountain you are facing. I do not know, but I know one thing. And he sees whatever that you're going through. For I have good plans for you, plans to prosper you and not to destroy you. So whatever you're going through, it is not to destroy you. Live like